The enhanced games, aka the steroid Olympics, literally proves everything I've been saying about winners and losers and how this world operates. So guys, I like to, make my points by giving real world examples of things that are actually happening, okay? So that we can observe us as humans in our natural habitat. And as somebody who loves science, as you know, I find these kinds of things quite fascinating to look at from that standpoint, as opposed to just like, oh, there's a bunch of athletes who all took steroids to try and take, not even steroids, but performance enhancing drugs. You see, my favorite thing about the English language is how easy it is to use it to give off different connotations of pretty much the same concept. But anyway, and a lot of people would say, this is just cheating, this is just this, or blah blah blah. But I feel like this whole situation here, it's a lot deeper than anybody seems to realize, because this is how the world functions, right? I'm trying to decide which way I'm going. Do I go that way? It's shorter. This way is longer. That way is more sunlight. And this way it's going to be less sunlight. And it is a heat wave as we speak. Hold on a second. Yeah, I'm going to walk this way for now. So let's backtrack. Now, the first thing I want to point out about this whole thing is going back to what I said to you guys about what I look at as winning and losing, and how it's more about like character traits as a person as opposed to your physical like state in life, because a lot of people, give you a perfect example of somebody who I think is a winner, who I met recently. So there was the guy, I was out, it was about 2 a.m, and I was by the bus stop, one of the bus stops, and I wasn't waiting for the bus. And a guy stops, he comes and he's the one who like changes the posters in the bus stop. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. So now I'm worried about his job, because I've been seeing them putting up the digital billboard, like the digital adverts now in the bus stops, and they're making loads of new bus stops in the town now. And I'm really annoyed because it's literally turning into London, but whatever. And I thought to myself, this guy's winning in life, because he was telling me this whole story. Bearing in mind, we were all getting teary-eyed and all sorts in the midst of this whole interaction, because this is like an old Irish man. And he was telling me about how, he used to be in the army, and he loved being in the army so much, and he never wanted to... What is that? Like bell sound I can hear. He loves being in the army so much, and all this and all that. And the only reason he stopped in the army is because the only reason he left is because his wife and his mother were not happy about it, which I was like, well, duh. Why would you want the man you love or your son to be putting himself like in harm's way? But he was like, he loved it and he wishes he could go back, but he likes his job now because him and his wife's schedules are perfectly matched together. So he can drop her off and then come and work. And he works at night, and so does she. They get to spend time together, and he adopted her 2 sons who are like his own children now, and they did all this stuff for him on Father's Day. So I was like, bro is winning. He's telling me about how much he likes his job. He feels like he makes good money. He likes coming and all he does is change the posters and then clean the bus stop. And all of this, and I was like, that to me is a winner. That's winning. That's winning. He's happy. He's doing things that he's got. He's satisfied with. He's found his lane in life that works for him, and he's doing it to the best of his abilities. That's what I would determine as winning, which now brings me to my comments on performance enhancing drugs, which to me, I feel like steroids, plastic surgery, it's all the same thing, right? Now, and this is where it gets a bit wobbly. Now, I think, that now the irony of this situation of the enhanced games, then this is the bit that's most important, is barely any of them were able to actually break any world records. right? Because the idea was, oh, we're going to have all these athletes come together. We're going to beat these world records, yada, yada, yada. And of course, knowing that people wouldn't have given you the acknowledgement anyway. And this is where I'm saying the world is kind of a sick place, because think about it like this. Say you did beat a world record. You're never going to get the same respect as somebody who wasn't taking performance-enhancing drugs as far as the jury of the sheep was concerned. Let's be so honest. So, which is again why I say to you guys, like, if you have to, this is where I'm talking about the loser characteristics. If you have to do something a bit questionable, because I mean, these athletes have to stay, they've signed like a 5-year contract because they have to be monitored for side effects and whatnot. And it's so funny because the athletes have taken it like, oh, we were never looked after like this at the Olympics. We're having all of this. And I'm like, they don't give a crap about you. They don't give a crap. Like, this is what I'm saying. This is how the world works. You think because somebody is doing a certain thing, they're taking it as, oh, we're so well looked after. They're making sure we have this and that. I'm like, do you think that's what they care about? Oh, so these are actually ripening now. Look at that. I don't even know what these are called, but they're like mini plums. They're actually ripening now. Wow. Anyway, so these are actually everywhere, all over the town as well, by the way, now that I'm realizing. Ever since that girl pointed out the other day, just because they're quite small and these bushes are very leafy. How interesting. The more you know. Anyway, it's the reason why they're getting all this extra care. It's not because these people give a crap. It's because they don't want any legal problems, and because they're scientists and they need the data for the research. They're like, yeah, they're looking after us. They check our bloods all day, and they measure our heart rates and all this. I'm like, yeah, that's science. This is the scientific gold mine, you flipping idiots. Like, this is what I'm trying to say. This is so stupid. Like, the degrees of brain deadness in society is absolutely unbelievable for me, because it's just like, they don't care about you. Because think about it. Who seeks to gain here? Only one group of people gains here. And that is the people investing. And this is how the rich stay rich. This is an example, yeah? That's not got to do with kids in underground tunnels. And it's funny because if you see any of the interviews with like the leadership, the doctors, the organizers, the investors involved, they really pride themselves off the fact that this is all consensual. They've all signed contracts as consenting adults. It's like, we can't be told we're doing anything bad if we've got you to sign on contract. But like I said, who seeks to gain? You, the athlete, you don't know the full side effects, because that's the whole purpose of this being a scientific thing. And again, signing your consent, because then it's like, well, if something does go wrong, then you can't really sue them. You're excited because you're getting paid all this money, which again tells us another story, because they're all on a salary as well, by the way. And I can't remember the exact breakdown, but I think every sport, every competition, there's, I think, a maximum of 250,000 that you can win. No matter where you place, by the way, you win money. If you break a world record, you get an extra $1 million on top. So, another episode of in the world, yeah, when we talk about money and stuff, and people are like, oh, we're struggling as a society, we can't afford this, da 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 da. No, we can. We can, because look there. How comes they have that money to throw around? How comes all of a sudden, because they put the money to the things they care about, and why do they care to put their money there? Because that's going to make them money in the future. In the same way, yeah, that the celebrities all started doing all these plastic surgeries and GLP-1s. You know why? Because then once they do it, it affects us, the wider public. So their investment is more than just investing in the technology. It's investing in the advertising. Because even one of the billionaires, the main one, I think his name's Chris, who's a German guy, was literally saying he doesn't care about any press they're getting, because any advertising is good advertising. And again, a lot of people in the world would think, why would you want to get bad advertising? This is bad. Why would you want people to be seeing you negatively? Hello? Have we met the human nature? Have you met humans before? We love it. We love to focus on the negatives. We love to focus on the things that are annoying us all or upsetting us all. So if, yeah, again, I think it's genius. If you want to, keep the attention and the viewership and whatnot of a wider group of people, do things that people are going to be mad about or are going to criticize. Because things that people like, that doesn't get engagement. That doesn't, this is what I'm saying. This is how the world works. Someone's always the guinea pig for whatever's going to be the next move of whoever has the facilities. Whoever has the facilities uses human nature against itself. Because somebody even asked one of the doctors and stuff, like, what about, so these guys are essentially guinea pigs, which I thought was ironic because we're all guinea pigs, all of us. Everything we're doing is a guinea pig. When you go to the doctors and they prescribe you with certain medications and then they ask you a bunch of questions, you're a guinea pig. A lot of us are guinea pigs. That's why science, this is why I can't ever trust in science ultimately, because it's a consistently evolving machine. Hence why it's so lucrative. Do you think these people care to go and actually solve health things? No. They're like, if we can create these ways for people to enhance their bodies, because one of the people in there was like, one of the athletes who was proud, and I don't judge the athletes, by the way. I don't see taking performance enhancing drugs as any different to getting plastic surgery, to be honest. And I find it quite fascinating seeing how it's like two sides of the same coin. And the guy was like, yeah, well, according to my biology, I've got the body of a 23-year-old, which I think is a gross overestimate because, again, first of all, you've done all of that to get to there, but you could still die of cancer tomorrow. Like, what was the... Like, I'm not laughing about that, guys. I'm laughing at the fact of, like, we really just do be thinking, yeah, that we can just... that we just have total control of everything that's happening. And the reality is that we don't. This is honestly why, I have the beliefs that I do. Because, yeah, you see one of these flipping bus stops with the flipping automated ads on there. And I was like, again, it's genius. Because I was thinking, why would they do this? But then I thought, no, it's actually smart. Because now, see what I'm saying? Again, it's the same story. They don't have to pay someone, rely on somebody to come who might get sick or who might not do it the way they want or who might take a long time, pay for the materials. So that short-term investment on getting that done, So that short-term investment of spending all this money on these bus stops, it's ironic how this actually links in with the video. Albeit it might be more expensive in the moment. Yeah, but then in the long run, bang on some solar panels. Everybody can sign up for advertising digitally, which probably saves you the headache of finding somebody to print it, getting printed the right size, keeping up the ink that you have to have, getting the deliveries to the right person, organizing. Nah, they can probably just set up like some online system where you just go and select which bus stop you want, type in your information, upload the image, the right thing, so it puts all the work again onto the people advertising, bung on some solar panels and mate, you save money. They don't care about the jobs of the people, and they're never going to. And this is what I feel like people need to understand. People don't get rich by being good people for the most part, right? Maybe in the first half, but then eventually it gets to a point where you really have to start to question your own morals and values. For real. If you're going any further than where you are. Why is this church open right now? Hold on a minute. The heck? There's just a bunch of like older people and they're just all chilling and just talking. This is the kind of thing where I really want to just go and involve myself where I don't need to be involved, But then having said that, in those types of situations, it always ends well and then I end up befriending like some 80-year-olds for no reason on a random Friday morning. So this is where I'm like, and again, as time goes on, the powers that be just become more intelligent about how they get away with their morally questionable things. Like I said, this is morally questionable, the whole concept of first of all, people perform enhanced, like, I don't know why people are so casual with drug intake. Like, I really don't know why people are so casual with drug intake, because to me, it's like, this is affecting your, like, especially when there's not loads of research on a lot of stuff. Now, albeit to the enhanced games, apparently, they're only allowed to use performance enhancing drugs, FDA approved. But you guys know how I feel about the FDA, because again, FDA approved, that whole thing is just another scam, like I talk about, because it's then it means, right now, and I find it fascinating that there's a new thing of people buying food on Facebook Marketplace, for example. They control the thing again. You can go into the supermarket and you can buy, where I'm headed right now, and you can buy a whole bunch of foods and things from people you don't know. You go into a restaurant cooked by people you don't know, with ingredients you don't know where they came from and all of that. But if the FDA approves it, it's fine. But if you want to prove that and you want to be a consensual adult and do that for yourself, it's not okay. So therefore, I can't just randomly start spilling food out of my house because FDA and we're protecting the people. No, you're not. You're doing that so you control the money. So you can control how much money. The other day, I was so annoyed at this new thing, This is why I'm giving up on everything. Are they just, like, handing out these, like, they are? Well, I'll be. Now they've got the frigging, what you call them, chairs? Like the ones that are, like, you have, like, by the pool at the beach out here. And beanbags. Is that what we're doing here now? Is that what we're doing? Wow. Okay. I actually can't be asked. Hold on a minute. Ah, yes. Cherishing the views. That's what it says. Cherishing. I swear this town is a gift that keeps on giving in every way. And not to be that adult, but this is not what it was like when I was growing up. Anyway. Yeah, so they made a change now, like, to the laws for business owners in this country. So as of April, now all of your records, like your accounting stuff, all has to be submitted digitally every quarter. So every quarter you have to submit your finances, because they're trying to make, it's one of those, we're trying to make it easier, which again, no, you're not. It's not easier, because now it's just another thing on the list of being a business owner. This is why I say it sucks either way. Working for somebody else, you're probably working for a company where there's pedophiles at the top. Working for yourself, the amount of extra work you have to do outside of your actual work is just so much. So now they want to do that. Now you have to make sure you keep up with that, because you see, the thing is about the government, and when anything happens, my worry isn't so much about doing the thing as much as it is the fact that now you've added another thing to keep up with. So if I, for whatever reason, submit it one day late or whatever, you now have a legal right to penalize me and do whatever you want to do, even if it was, say, a genuine mistake, or just like, for example, right, let's say like in my old field, let's say for all of summer, let's say I forget to submit something that says I've made zero amount of money, for example, in this quarter, let's just say. Imagine I now get penalized for that. And I'm like, brother, I was on holiday, mate, enjoying my holiday. No money was made. Yeah, but you needed to let us know. You know what I mean? Is anybody hearing me, like, at this point? You know what, guys, I apologize for that. That was so rude of me, because if there's anybody actually hearing me, it's literally only you guys. But, what did I want to look at? I just had an idea. Yeah, so it's just like, just another thing. Oh, it's all going to be digital. So now again, it's the tracking. It's the tracking. This is why, can you guys understand why I can't stand being in this planet? Like, I don't think people realize, like, other than literally you guys, when I say there's nowhere to go where this stuff is, where there's nowhere to go, there's nothing to turn to, because everywhere you go, right, it's either us descending further into degeneracy to the benefit of the wrong kinds of people, i.e. this situation I'm talking about now with the enhanced games. It's like, who does this really benefit? It doesn't benefit the athletes, because you're never going to, like, this is like what I say to you guys. I don't like a win. I never want to win something because of, like, without me having won in its totality. That's why I don't cheat. I don't lie on people's names. I'm not stepping on nobody to get to the top. None of that, because even if I get away with it, deep down I know that's not my win. And like the real, you know what, Perry Buffalo, and this is why no one goes to Nando's anymore. Nando's is another tale of what I'm talking about, can I just say, because a lot of people who've gone to Nando's and don't like it, and I used to be an avid Nando's girl. When I say avid, I mean when I was 16, every other week when that paycheck would hit from McDonald's, I would go to Nando's with my friend. When I was at university, I used to go to Nando's 3 times a week. It was a joke. So I was a big fan of Nando's. But as stated also by that source there, because what in the world do they have, what business do they have making buffalo? In the same way, what business do they have doing mac and cheese? In the same way, what business do they have making like, there's certain things where it's like, stay in your lane. Like, this is actually a perfect example of exactly what I was about to say, ironically. Sometimes, if you see something is working for somebody else, and you're not having success in the exact same way, maybe that's just not your lane, and maybe you need to hone down on being in your lane. Because I feel like, what Nando's did, it used to be so good, right? They are good at they make really good chicken. You can get it in a wrap, you can get it in a pizza, you can get it by itself, and the sides were good. They removed the Mediterranean salad, which was my favorite, by the way. And they started adding in all these other things that were all trendy, all the trending and trendy things. And I was like, you know what? You should have stuck with what you're good at, because now the people who've heard from those of us who used to go 3 times a week that it's so good, they now go there, and they're obviously what business does Nando's have making mac and cheese? That was the one with my turning point. I was like, I love mac and cheese, guys, to be honest. But this is what I'm saying about staying in your lane. Sometimes it's not for you. Because had all the people who visited Nando's in the last 5 to 10 years, had they been getting like what it used to be, different story. But now it's like you've lost your old customers. I don't know the last time I went to Nando's, right? And like I said, I used to go all the time. That was my go-to. Like, especially a hot day like this, I'll go and I'll go to Nando's by myself and just sit there and just enjoy Nando's, you know? And their food is also great. Like leftover, like take over the chicken, like the leftover chicken and make a salad the next day. Hello. But now, because they tried to like go into a different lane that wasn't their lane by doing all these viral things, like you're not the type, you guys are not like, they lost their older people. And now the new people are not interested either. Like, at least if you're going to pivot, at least do it and do it well, on the words of Jennifer Lopez. I love that song. I still love that song. And so what now? You know what I mean? Or because you couldn't just stay in your lane. And that's kind of like exactly what I'm saying about these athletes. Ironically, stay in your lane. Like, if it's not your lane, find another one. Maybe it's not for you, because if some people were able, and this is what I'm saying, it's funny, at the end of the day, some people were clearly able to excel at these things without having to take those precautions that they did. So you just then become the butt of the joke. Because now it's like, oh wait, so how comes the other Olympians were able to excel at this without performance enhancing drugs, and now you got them and now you flopped? But the thing is, I don't really think it was so much about that. They got 1 Olympic record, I think, in the whole competition, which is quite pathetic if you ask me. But more importantly, they got a whole bunch of people to do experiments on, because they got money. So they're just going to throw more money back at it and be like, we'll try again in 6 months. Because a lot of the athletes have only been doing it for 4 years. And that's the funny thing about the athletes, which is going to circle me back to the characteristics of winners and losers. I know we go on a journey around here, and I'm so grateful to have people who are more than one-dimensional thinking. Because I'll be honest, guys, when people are like, it's confusing what you're talking about because you're going around wherever. Listen, it's not for you. Sorry, I've been through too many things. I've lived in too many places. I've had too many experiences. I'm sorry that I'm not a one-dimensional person that only ever followed one pathway in my life. My brain only thinks in one single sentence. And I'm not saying that's a negative thing either. I'm just saying it's not my experience. So I don't know what you want from me. I really don't know what you want from me. I can't deliver it because it's not my reality. Never has been, never will be. But yeah, let's circle back to the athletes themselves. So let me just get out of here. I'm just walking around at this point, just enjoying moving my legs. Let's just get out. So let's go back to the loser characteristics mentality, because I displayed some of the behavior I'm about to talk about once upon a time. And when I had to sit with myself and realize like what I did, I was so disgusted that I was like, never again. Okay. This is why I'm like, I don't make excuses for adults, because so much of the things I've learned the hard way. I've been the idiot, I've been the loser, I've done the bad characteristic, I've done the bad thing, and I haven't needed to have all the sympathy in the world or somebody explain it to me in plain English. The ugliness I felt looking at myself was enough to make a difference. So this is why I don't have any patience or sympathy if you can't get yourself together. But anyways, they're really playing music out here as well. This is so funny because I'm sure some people are like, this is such a nice sunny day. And there they are, Nando's. What a shame. Should we go look at the menu? Okay, let's not worry about that, guys. Enough talking about enough things that are not relevant. Well, actually, it is relevant, but anyway. So when you're hearing the backstories of some of these athletes, I'm going to actually stop for a second. When you're hearing the backstories of some of these athletes, right? One thing that stuck out to me is a lot of them felt like they had to come back, like they had something to prove after what they didn't achieve, like in the Olympics. Because a lot of them had competed in the Olympics, but maybe came second or third. One lady, and it particularly bothered me because she was like, she almost basically said it as if like she felt like she'd been robbed. Now, here's the thing, guys, about competing in competitions, and where, like I say, that I had to learn this lesson the hard way myself. My first ever competition, like dance competition, that I choreographed for, right? Yeah, didn't go good. Like, well, I don't even remember where we placed, yeah. Now, what I will say is other teams also felt that the judges were biased. Other teams felt that way. Doesn't matter. Point is, we didn't win. And if we were good enough, we would have won. And I did have to go and I did restructure the entire routine. I changed the order of the songs. I took a song out. I think I added another one. You know what I mean? And obviously we came back and then there was me with the double-decker trophy. Couldn't believe it. But anyway, point being, sometimes like you gotta just take like your perspective on what went wrong. Like I say, a loser would blame anything other than yourself. And this was proven to me by watching these guys, because a lot of them felt like they had something to prove, felt like they didn't really get a proper chance for whatever reason. And I feel like it's that mentality, which is why I'm not surprised they struggled to even, some of them hit their own PR or a new PR, right? So that's because of the mentality. I feel like if their mentality had been like, well, I wasn't good enough the first time, and now I want to work even harder to see if I can do what I failed to do the time before, and I've learned from what I didn't do well enough. Different mindset would have produced different results. I also think that different mindset would have not led them to participating in something like the enhanced games in the first place, because again, you'd want to prove that I have it within me to do the work required. I don't want no sympathy vote. In the same way that, like, for me, I'd rather lose fair and square than win because of a bias. You know what I mean? Because then that's not really a win. And again, just like what I'm saying with these guys, the only people that gain are the people getting rich, because the rest of us are all going to be like, yeah, you know, like how now it's normal. You know, when I realized, I was so disappointed when I realized the men were all going to get flipping hair transplants. First of all, bald. I think some men look so much better bald than with hair. Just like the vice versa of the beard. Some guys really suit a beard, some guys need to get rid of them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, again, find your lane and like stick to it. Like, I don't know why that's so difficult. But when men started getting those types of surgeries and stuff, I just was like, you know what? When are we going to learn to love ourselves the way we are? And also, you're going to attract the wrong kind of person. Because imagine, like, on the bold story arc, a perfect example of the bold thing. And the same goes for a lot of stuff, right? So imagine now, you do all of this because you're scared of balding, you're still single, blah, blah, who cares, right? Sorry, I do care. But now you decide to get a hair transplant, right? What if your soulmate likes bald guys? Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about that? Like, do you know what I mean? This is what I mean, by the way, when I say about just little things in life where like you like, it's the loser way of doing things. Like, I hate to say it like that. I get it, guys. We all have our insecurities. In fact, I've been thinking all about my insecurities so much the last few days. Like, I don't know where out of nowhere I started just really thinking about feeling insecure about so many things in my body. Like, just like, whoa, how will I ever? But, you know, but it's like, stay in your lane and like stay in your lane. And then if you're not able to excel in that lane, maybe that's not the lane you're supposed to be in. Do you know what I'm saying? And this is like why I say I fundamentally against the education system the way that it is, because it's almost like try and be good at everything and hope for the best, and we're now going to judge your intelligence level and whether you can be really good across the board. I think that's kind of ridiculous. I think you should be... Bro, men are built differently, because the hell these guys are building a whole new flipping window. But then again, they are just in their shorts, aren't they? Because they can be men, so they can be naked in public pretty much. But anyway, like, school and just life doesn't help you to find your path and find what you're... Because everyone has things. If you leave that person to something, if you find that thing that's for you, you will excel at it in a way that only you can. Right? But school has kind of taught us all that. You try and be kind of good at everything, and you don't like find your lane, and just hope for the best. And if there's a way you can cheat, then cheat. If there's a way you can, you know, it's like, don't. How about use those things as a signal that this isn't for you? You know, it's the same thing I would do with kids. I don't say, you know, how I used to teach maths and science. I don't look at them like, oh, you're stupid because you're not doing as well as so-and-so at maths. Because usually when I talk to them, they have other interests, which based on that type of career or that type of thing they want to do, their skill set is way more attributed to that pathway than it is to being a mathematician. You know what I mean? And so my whole thing with that even is, anyways, as I was saying, if you have to go to all these lengths and make all these excuses, maybe it's either that it's not for you, or you need to work harder or change your approach or change your mindset. Because like I said, the woman that came in and was like, I felt like this was robbed from me, blah, blah, blah. Because not all the athletes, by the way, were even taking... The way I can see the sun rays is, oh my gosh. Not all of them were taking performance enhancing drugs. Some of them were not, just to be clear. By choice, they just wanted to maybe reattempt their time or whatever. And that's just another thing about sports, by the way, that I don't like. Can I just say this as a side note, especially for all the young people out there? You know, I always kind of felt annoyed myself that in my youth I didn't take sports more seriously, because I was always the kind of person who was like, hey, if I've beat everybody in, like, say, the district or like this side of the country, like, that's good enough for me. I don't need to be I didn't care to, like, say, then be an Olympian. And unfortunately I had that mentality with too many things. But at the same time, I'm kind of glad, because I feel like I had more of a childhood than a lot of people did. Because I feel like for a lot of people and a lot of kids, unfortunately, because again, why is it that they say when you're younger, it's easier for you to be good at this and good at that? Because your body is still in a growth phase. In the same way they say it's easy to teach a child below the age of like 7 more languages. So you're literally robbing kids. Like, what we do as a society is just for the sake of like athletic excellence, we literally ruin people's childhoods. Because I'm thinking, you know what? I'm glad I had the days to go out with my friends and be out in the forests and doing stuff and going out in the parks and playing. And I had time to be doing all the random things I like to do and stuff, you know. I'm glad I had some of that, because some people were at gymnastics 8 days a week, 2-3 hours every day after school. And I also just think, like, what kind of a loving parent are you, like, to actually put your child through that as well? Like, you're just being worked. And why? Because you're at the optimal, again, it's all about this optimum excellence. And then who wins as a result? The rich people. That's why they stay rich, because then They have their sponsorships. They sponsor the most big upcoming athlete. They get all the exposure. They put all the money. They sponsor them. They get to be the one behind the greatest athlete. We're all like screaming and shouting and, you know, all of this. I mean, look right now, even with the World Cup going on. This is the first time. I usually love the World Cup. Like, I usually, because you guys know I'm a football fan. In fact, last night I was dreamt of myself playing football in this exact field, funnily enough. I'm like, yeah, this grass is no. It's too dry. Do you know what's funny? That I actually prefer the grass when it's a little bit damp. Right now, it's too dry, brother. It's tickling and it's not tickling me. I don't want to be tickled. Anyway, this year it just feels kind of cringe. Like, I don't know, have you seen like how petty FIFA's being? Like the way that they, like, I don't know if you've seen all this stuff. It low-key is making me laugh. And again, it's funny because the fans are actually a vibe from what I can tell. And everybody comes together and everyone's supporting their own team with the countries they come from, which I think is very wholesome. Then you go to the corporate level and you've got FIFA covering up the literal stadiums sponsors, like the Levi Stadium, or what was it? No, it was Gillette Stadium and all this. Yeah, they're covering up. Although I have to say the backlash from the brands is funny. Like how Gillette covered their own branding in shaving cream. I thought that was funny. I don't know if that could have been AI for all I know. Also, it took me forever to realize that this is a rounders pitch. If anybody wants to know what rounders is, it's like similar to baseball, but it's not the same thing. I have no further explanations other than that for now. Hold on, let me talk to you guys and I've got around this bit because it's just very dark here. Well, it's not. It's just the sun is right behind me. Where are you, sun? Hi, little sunshine. Anyways, I'll be back in a sec. Okay, I'm sitting by the park, if you can imagine. And of course, the mosque is open. And you know, I was just thinking, men actually hate us, I swear down. Because how could you say you love a woman and then in this type of weather, what? If she's leaving the house, she's supposed to cover up every single thing in these dark black outfits, absorbing in all the heat. Like, they actually hate us. I don't really think they all do. But I think there's some part of them that doesn't, like, I feel like they have a love to hate and hate to love relationship with us a lot of the time. I'm not going to lie. Because, like, you know, when you want something, but then you hate how much something has power over you at the same time. And therefore, you're kind of trying to dominate it. And therefore, your feelings get confused. I feel like that's how men feel like about women, if I'm being so honest. Ain't no flipping way. Ain't no flipping way. Yeah. Even bloody Bradley's going to the mosque right now. All dressed in the dress. Yeah, look at them coming in. Wow. Anyway. Right next to a park, by the way. Park right here, by the way. Anyway. Sorry. I know people are not going to like what I just said about the male community, but it's what I think, okay? Sorry. And I don't want to hear this, oh, it's not all of them, it's not ever, but it's not all. I hate to admit, but I'm behind the phrase that I've heard a lot of ladies say, it's not always a man. It's not every man, but it's always a man thing. And it's like, yeah, that's a little bit too accurate for comfort. Ain't no way. They're really all filing in. And we're seeing all nations. We just saw Bradley. Now we've got Kunta Kinte. Next we've got Mohammed. I told you I'm equal opportunity racist. Nah, they're all coming together. I'm all seeing Bradley, Kunta Kinte and Mohammed. Of all generations. They're doing it right. They're doing it well. Look at them filing in. Anyway, I never get to catch them coming in and out. Wow, and they're all going to wash their hands because I know the sink's in there, taking off their shoes. Whoa. Anyway, you guys get what I'm trying to say here. Like, I feel like their mentality, what was I saying even before corporations? Yeah, the World Cup, yeah. Obviously, they can't help it with the money. That's all they're thinking about. Like, this is why I'm like, when you go and you are going and buying brands, like you're going to go and support this, support that, you think like these athletes thinking, oh, they're looking after us. No, they're not. They're here for the money and to make the money so that when you, with your broke self, are going and buying their products and using their products and trying to take performance-enhancing drugs, it's the same way, like I say, yeah? I find it fascinating when you go to the gym, predominantly, a lot of men in the gym are the short guys. And I'm not saying that in a rude way. I'm just saying, in a way, I respect them because they realize that their lane isn't going to be maybe that they're gonna gain certain things out of their height. They may not be able to increase in their height, but they can increase the depth of their bicep. Hey, go for it. You know what I mean? And then they find themselves in another lane. And that's what I'm trying to say. Like in life, find your lane and stick to it, and like just know the world you're living in, and understand that like the world is never in favor of you. You have to be in favor of yourself. The people around and whatever's happening around you, it's all a game of just, as I say, war, slave, rape, repeat, right? People, and whether that's wars in terms of, like I said, like this stupid thing with the World Cup and them taking over the signs and like hiding the branding, even though it's that place's stadium. It's like, is it that deep? Are you that desperate? But the answer is yes. The answer is yes, because it's a war for our attention. It's a war for our attention. It's a war for power. All this stuff we see happening around the world and this and that happening, it's a war for power. Of course, you could even argue like what I'm seeing here, and how I say, in this country, the fact that people keep everything so politically correct about everything. Are we surprised? You're all politically correct. And now we've got flipping Bradley and Kunta Kinte and Mohammed all walking together in unison, shaking hands in the mosque on like a whatever time in the morning this is on a Friday. In a country where I could be asked to take off my necklace for wearing a cross on it because it's offensive to somebody. That's insane. In a country where also people get cigarette breaks. Is that still a thing? Do people still get cigarette breaks? So, I just have to say all of this just to say that, like, everything I'm saying here, more and more I'm talking, and the more I'm here, the more I'm just like, I'm actually right. And I actually just feel like people need to just give me my flowers at this point in time. Because it's actually getting boring. It's actually getting boring waking up to recognize that, oh, so you mean that thing that I said was going to happen happened? Who would have thought? It's almost as if we're so predictable. And that's what I think people don't seem to realize, is that this stuff happens because we are so predictable. Because as humans, we are so predictable and we're so easy to manipulate. Like I said, these athletes think there's something special. They think that these people care. They don't care. They're keeping you under this for 5 years for legal reasons. They're throwing money at you because money talks and everybody has a price. They're taking all this data and information from you, not to make sure you're safe, but because they need the data and the science, and they want to be at the forefront of the next big thing. Because you know what's going to happen? Just as it always does, once upon a time, Botox was a thing that ladies in their like 50s and 60s would get, and they get a little injection because of their frown lines and a bit to keep their cheeks higher and whatever. And now you have flipping even men going to get Botox for things, or girls as part of our every 3 weeks to 2 week, 2 to 3 week, what are they called? Routines. Ain't no way. Oh, I've got to stay for this. They're bringing some stuff outside. And they've got cones. I've got to see what this is about. I can't leave now. I was about to leave. Oh, hell no. Hello. You would think my name is Kat with your curiosity in the room. Let's see. Where is he blocking off? I wonder how much of this is their legal property as well. Because this is in the middle of a park. So surely, is this even an actual mosque, or is they just using it? I don't know. It feels like it's only ever open for this. I feel like they've bought the building. Anyway, and you know what this should be? This should be like a building with like big windows, and there should be like kids things happening in there. Obviously, it's the middle of the day. Like there should be like workout classes for the community, and there should be like stuff like this. This is what should be here and sitting in the middle of a park. There should be fun activities. There should be like a little cafe maybe in there. Okay, we have cafe over there and a fish. To be fair, we do have a couple restaurants over there, so maybe not that. But like a community space with stuff for young people to do. Because that's another thing I have an issue with. Growing up in this town, I'd just like to add as a quick side note, a lot of people talk about, us all being on our devices and stuff. But I grew up in the time when, and I know now, this is why I get upset about them cutting down things like the forests and stuff. Because when I'm out in the forest, can I tell you who I'm least bothered by? A bunch of teenagers. Because they're doing dumb things and they're just living life. But now what's happening is where we now have been cutting everything down. Now you have in places like the forests where now the old people want to come and sit because now it's safe enough, and now the young parents and young kids want to come. Now those people are affected and offended by the young people, and so then it becomes another space where no one wants young people to be. And like, I remember being a young person and just having all the places you would hang out, and you literally not be doing anything. You'd be just like playing football with your friends, or just like doing stuff like kids stuff, you know what I mean? Like, you get together with your friends and you just do stuff, not harming anybody, not harming anything. And then you end up getting in trouble and out being asked to leave because you're in people's spaces. And this is why we were in places like the forest and stuff, because then we're out of everybody's way. But now you're cutting the forest down, so now everybody wants to be here, and then who's getting kicked out again? Then it's us, and then we're going to be the ones to be blamed to not be out and not be doing things and to always be on our devices. But it's like, where else are we supposed to be? Because apparently the only place that we're comfortable and we're safe to be is our own little bedrooms, because if we're absolutely anywhere else, we're a nuisance to everybody, whether that's in our homes or outside or even in the church. And then you don't even have things happening in the community anymore, because there used to be so much community stuff happening, like for kids when I was growing up, that I just don't think a lot of it's not happening anymore. Bro's gone and collected his son from school to come to the mosque. I couldn't believe it. I was like, why is there a kid in his PE kit? Yeah, they're all here. He's gone and got his kid from school. Bro, Christians. Anyway, all to say, and to wrap up this video, it's a mentality thing. Like, we gotta recognize the game we're in. This is why I always say, like, if life's a game, it's play to win. Like, people are so stupid in thinking that anybody who like, the reason why I have a belief in the concept of God, who he is, and why I don't question why there's bad things happening in the world, despite believing that God is all good, is because I realize that everything that happens is because of us, and because we are just predictable. Like, the Bible to me is like the book of behavior, how the kingdom of heaven operates, how the kingdom of darkness operates, and how humans operate. And we are, unfortunately, wildly predictable, right? And so, yes, they're going to run this performance enhancing things. People who feel like the losers of the world, and I hate to say it like that, but it's the truth. The people that feel like, if I just had this, if I just had more muscles, if I just had more hair, if I just had more lips, if I just had more ass, if I just had the money that they had and the upbringing they had, if I just had, if I just had, it's always if I just had, I would have the same benefits as so-and-so else. That's what they capitalize off of. It's exactly that. So just you wait and see. Oh, they're bringing out decorations. What's going on here, mate? I want to know. I might have to ask, because you know me. I might have to actually ask at this point in time. What was I saying? They know that once they've proven all of this, guess where they're going to get all that money back? They're going to get all that money back from us, the general population, because we're all going to swoop in, right? We're going to swoop in to want to get in on whatever the benefits are, just like people did with the plastic surgery, just like people started doing even with the steroids. It's like, and then have you ever heard people who take steroids and how they talk about somebody else who might have like a similar physique to them but never was on steroids? It's always the genetics. People love to start with the genetics. If I had those genetics, the genetics. It's like, brother, take some accountability. It's like when people look at somebody's body and be like, oh, I wish, and you see them eat a burger one time. Oh, if I ate that burger, I would be fat overnight. And it's like, the chances are that you eat like that all the time, and that person's eating that one off. It's like I say to you guys about the Coca-Cola thing and me and sugar and Coke. Coca-Cola is my favorite soft drink, like hands down my favorite. Okay, close to Iron Brew. Nah, bro's even having to put on a shirt to go to the mosque. I swear, I can't believe this. I actually can't be asked. I actually can't be asked. Anyway, Anyway, all to say, that's just the wrong mentality. Like, find what you have in life and capitalize off of that and work with it. No, that doesn't mean that you roll out of bed in the morning exactly as you are and just take whatever else you have and accept that it's not for you. Of course, you got to dibble dabble. That's what childhood is supposed to be. I truly believe our childhood is supposed to, not this whole thing we now do of like, oh, you find yourself in your 20s. It's a load of hogwash, guys. You're supposed to find who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do as a child, because it's all naturally there. By the time you're an adult, the world is beating the hell out of you. You start becoming more cynical. You limit your imagination and what you think you're capable of. And then it's going to be really hard to find yourself on any path. When you're a kid, everything seems possible. You go with your natural instincts, and I find that kids' natural instincts oftentimes are more reliable than what everybody else is thinking, because you just kind of naturally do what you're gifted at. Like, you just naturally find yourself there. But again, circling back to my previous point, and I love how this is what I'm saying, everything I'm saying, it all links together and it all locks together, and it's all kind of me saying the same thing in different ways, if you hadn't noticed. All my videos at this point are saying the exact same point in like just different examples. Right? Ultimately, the same way that kids are just, hidden away and not allowed to be anywhere, not allowed to do anything in the very years where they need the most observations, not even just for supervision, but like, okay, this is what your skill you have. Let's get you on the right path, right? But instead, everybody's figuring everything out. Listen, I'm not figuring out nothing. Like, can I just say that? I'm going to be 30 next year. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I don't care to start my life again on a new path. I'm done with that, because my best years are behind me. And that's for me personally, for how I am, who I am as a person and how I am. I can feel this adulthood getting to me. Like I said, I'm already saying more cynical statements. It's not all men, but it's always a man. These days, I've been actually thinking everybody's racist. Like all this stuff I know is part of being an adult and just knowing too much. And it's affecting my desire to actually try anything. And that's on me. Again, because I could work on it, but then I'm too tired. And I'm choosing not to, because I'm choosing that if I'm going to spend my energy on something, I'm not going to blame anybody apart from myself and the choice that I've made for myself, because that's how that works. So, anyways, you guys get the gist. Every single video is an hour these days, but I just have so much to say, and it's just like, I don't know, guys. Anyways, you guys, I'm going to skedaddle, because if life's a game, it's pay to win. Just another example of, because like I said, these guys did all of this, they made all these excuses, they did all this just for only one person to come up with a new world record. So maybe the issue wasn't somebody else, and it wasn't that someone was more whatever they said. Maybe the issue was the mentality all along. And that's why I say winning and losing, it's not about your physical state of anything. It's all down to your mindset at the end of the day and how you think and your lifestyle. Do I ever live a winning lifestyle and mindset, or a losing mindset and lifestyle? And also, you can't combine both. If you try and combine one and the other, I can tell you that the net result is going to be losing. On that note, 5 seconds, pay to win. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. I'll see you in my next one.